I thought I knew my husband inside and out. But that night, what I found in his car didn't just shatter our marriage. It destroyed the life I thought I had. My name is Gloria, and for 23 years, I was the perfect wife, or so I thought. I made breakfast for David every morning, ironed his shirts, and remembered his colleagues' birthdays better than he did. When he lost his job, I was his rock. When his mom was sick, I cared for her like she was my own. When he forgot our anniversary for the 3rd year in a row, I pretended it didn't matter. I loved him with the kind of love that forgives everything and asks for nothing in return. Quiet, steady, like breathing. And I was certain he felt the same. But in the last few months, something shifted. At first, it was subtle. He started staying late at work more often. Then his kisses became distracted, his hugs perfunctory. His phone was always in his hand, never left unattended. "Dave, is everything okay?" I'd ask, watching him quickly hide his screen when I approached. "Of course, honey. Just work. New project," he'd reply, barely looking up. "New project." Those 2 words became his catch-all excuse for late nights, weekend meetings, sudden business trips. I started feeling like a stranger in my own home. But I kept believing. Marriages go through rough patches, right? All couples face hard times. You just have to weather the storm. So on that rainy autumn evening, I decided to do something special. Maybe a romantic dinner would remind us of who we used to be. I'd buy his favorite wine, cook a steak the way only I could, light some candles, and just talk. No phones, no work, no strange wall between us. "I'm running to the store," I told David, who was, as usual, glued to his laptop in front of the TV. He mumbled, eyes fixed on the screen. I grabbed the keys to his car. Mine was in the shop. The rain was coming down harder, so I dashed to the garage, shielding my head with my jacket. I tossed my purse onto the passenger seat and was about to slide behind the wheel when something caught my eye. On the floor, near the pedals, was a delicate gold chain with a heart-shaped pendant. Elegant, expensive. My necklace was at home on my vanity. This wasn't mine. My heart skipped a beat, but I forced myself to pick it up. Maybe it was a gift for me. Maybe David was planning a surprise for our anniversary just 2 weeks away. But the pendant was warm, as if someone had been wearing it recently. My hand trembled as I turned it over. Engraved on the back were the words, "To my one and only Sophie, forever yours, D." The world stopped. The rain pounded the car roof, but I couldn't hear it anymore. All I heard was my heartbeat, loud and painful. Sophie. Who was Sophie? And why was my husband giving her jewelry with words like that? I tore through the car. In the glove box, I found receipts from restaurants we'd never been to together. The dates matched the nights he was working late. Wedged between the seats was a movie ticket for a film I'd begged him to see with me a month ago. "Maybe next time," he'd said. But the worst was in the door pocket, a small empty box from a jewelry store. The receipt showed a purchase 3 days ago for an amount that made my head spin. A ring. He'd bought a ring. Not for me. I went back home empty-handed. David didn't even ask where the groceries were. Store was closed. I lied. He nodded, eyes still on his screen. That's how easily betrayal slips into a home already steeped in lies. That night, when David was asleep, I took his phone. The passcode was our wedding date, irony at its finest. His WhatsApp was wiped clean, call logs deleted, but he'd forgotten about Instagram. In his DMs, I found a conversation with Sophie_Miller_art, an artist, beautiful, young, with fiery red hair and green eyes. My heart broke with every message. "Can't wait to see you." "When are you going to tell her?" "I love you." "I love you too, my darling." The last message was from the night before, when he was supposedly working on a client presentation. "The ring is perfect. Yes, I'll marry you." I clamped a hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. He'd proposed to her. While I was planning a romantic dinner for us, he was planning a new life with her. But I didn't cry. Something inside me turned cold and sharp, like ice. I wasn't going to throw a tantrum or smash dishes. I had a different plan. For the next 2 days, I played the part of the perfect wife. I smiled, made breakfast, asked about his work. David relaxed, thinking everything was fine. Meanwhile, I gathered evidence. A friend at his company gave me Sophie's address. LinkedIn revealed her upcoming art exhibition this Saturday. Bank statements showed his spending over the past 6 months. Restaurants, hotels, gifts. He was spending our money on her. The savings we'd been putting away for a house. On Thursday, David said he'd be late again. Big investor meeting, honey, don't wait up. Of course, I smiled. Good luck. But instead of staying home, I drove to the address I'd found. A charming neighborhood, cozy townhouses. David's car was parked outside number 47. I parked across the street and waited. 2 hours later, the door opened. David stepped out with her. Sophie was even more stunning in person than in her photos. They kissed on the doorstep like lovesick teenagers. She waved as he left, and I saw the ring on her finger, the one he'd bought with our money. I didn't go home. Instead, I waited until David's car disappeared around the corner, then walked to her door. Sophie opened it, still glowing with happiness. Yes? She said, not recognizing me. Hi, I'm Gloria Harrison, David's wife. The color drained from her face. I don't understand. You do, I said, holding up the necklace. You left this in his car. Her hand flew to her neck. Can I come in? I think we need to talk. She stepped aside, letting me into her stylish, modern home, a stark contrast to our cozy but slightly outdated one. How long has it been going on? I asked, sitting in her armchair like it was my own living room. Sophie, please, I'm not here to fight. I just want the truth. She sank onto the couch, twisting a napkin in her hands. 8 months, she whispered. But he said you two weren't really together anymore. That divorce was just a matter of time. I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to me. Yesterday morning, I ironed his shirt and made his breakfast. The day before, we watched a movie, and he held my hand. What divorce, Sophie? Tears streamed down her face. He said he loves me, that we'd be together. Together? I pointed to her hand. I see he's already proposed. She nodded, eyes down. Did you know he was married? Yes, but he said... What did he say? That it was just a formality, that you sleep in separate rooms, that there's nothing between you anymore. Each word hit like a slap. 23 years of marriage reduced to a formality. Sophie, I leaned forward, you're an artist. You create beautiful things. Do you really want to build your happiness on someone else's pain? She sobbed. I didn't know. You thought I was some wicked woman holding poor David hostage? No, he was so convincing. I stood. Here's the thing, Sophie. I'm not mad at you. You're a victim of his lies, too. But now you know the truth. As I headed for the door, I turned back. Oh, and your exhibition on Saturday? Your work looks amazing online. She looked stunned. You've seen my paintings? Of course. I did my homework before coming here. You've got talent. Don't waste it on a man who lies to 2 women at once. David came home around midnight, smug and relaxed. How'd the meeting go? I asked, not looking up from my book. Great. Investors are on board. The lies rolled off his tongue so effortlessly I was stunned. How long had he been deceiving me? And how had I missed it? Dave, I set the book down. Want some coffee or tea? Coffee sounds great. I went to the kitchen and he followed. Glor, you okay? You seem off. Off how? I don't know. Quiet, thoughtful. I placed a mug in front of him and sat across the table. Dave, are we happy? The question caught him off guard. Of course. Why? Is something wrong? Sometimes I feel like we've drifted apart. He took my hand. Gloria, I love you. Work's just been crazy, but it's temporary. His fingers were warm, familiar, the same hands that had caressed Sophie's hair hours earlier. Do you love me? He asked. I looked into his brown eyes, flecked with gold, the eyes I once thought were the most honest in the world. I do, I said. But love comes in different forms, doesn't it? Some love builds, some destroys. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Just thinking out loud. David finished his coffee and kissed my forehead. You think too much, honey. Everything's fine. When he went to bed, I stayed in the kitchen. Everything's fine, I echoed. Oh, David, soon everything will be fine. I hadn't planned to go to Sophie's exhibition, but when David announced he was playing golf with business partners that morning, something pulled me there. The gallery was buzzing with people. Sophie's paintings were stunning, vibrant, emotional, alive, the opposite of my gray, predictable life. I was standing in front of a piece called New Beginning, a bird breaking free from a cage, when I heard her voice. Gloria? I turned to see Sophie, looking shocked. You came. Beautiful work, I said sincerely, especially this one. Thank you. I've been thinking about our talk. And, she glanced at the ring on her finger, I can't be with a man who lies to his wife, even if I love him. Smart choice. But how do I tell him? He's so set on our plans. I smiled. What if we tell him together? On Sunday, I prepared a special dinner. Lasagna, Caesar salad, expensive wine. I set the table for 3. David came home from work. I'd checked. He was actually at the office this time, and raised an eyebrow. Expecting company? You could say that. The doorbell rang at 7 sharp. David went to answer, and I stayed in the kitchen listening. Silence. Then, Sophie? What? How did you get this address? David, we need to talk. Not here. Gloria's home. I know, Sophie said quietly. She invited me. I stepped into the hallway, smiling. Hey, honey. Hi, Sophie. Come in. Dinner's ready. David stood frozen, paler than the walls. Gloria, I can explain. Over dinner, I said calmly. We'll talk over dinner. We sat at the table in utter silence. I poured the wine like it was any other family meal. So, I raised my glass. To honesty. David didn't touch his. Gloria, please. Dave, I cut in. 8 months. 8 months of daily lies, telling me about investor meetings while you were with Sophie, telling me you loved me while planning a life with her. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Sophie, silent until now, spoke up. David, you told her we sleep in separate rooms? He stared at her. Sophie, not now. That there's nothing between you two? That divorce was just a matter of time? I can explain. That you proposed to me because you're free. David slumped back in his chair. Oh my God. Here's the thing, David, I said. You didn't just lie to me. You lied to Sophie too. She thought you were practically divorced. Gloria, I was going to tell you. When? After your wedding to her? We weren't planning a wedding. Sophie pulled out her phone and showed him the screen. Then what's this? Your messages about our life in California, the house by the ocean, the kids we'd have. David clutched his head. It's not like that. Then what's it like? I leaned forward. Explain it to us. He was silent for a long time, then quietly. I got caught up. Caught up? I laughed. David, you bought another woman a ring with our money. You planned to run off to California. You lied to me for 8 months. That's not caught up. That's betrayal. Gloria, I love you. And her too? He looked at Sophie, then at me. Yes, he whispered. That honesty hurt worse than all his lies. I see, I said. Sophie, what do you think? Sophie slipped the ring off her finger and set it on the table. I think love shouldn't be built on lies. I can't be with a man who could deceive his wife of 23 years. David reached for the ring but stopped short. Sophie, wait. No, David, I don't want to be your wife if you can treat your real wife like this. She stood. Gloria, thank you for dinner. And for the lesson. What lesson? That dignity matters more than love. When Sophie left, David and I were alone. He stared at his plate. Well, honey, I asked, how's your new life in California looking? Gloria, I'm so sorry. For what exactly? The lies, the cheating, spending our savings on another woman? Planning to leave me after 23 years? He looked up. For everything. Sorry isn't a magic word, David. It doesn't erase the pain. I know, but I'll fix it. How? Can you give me back the 8 months I spent thinking something was wrong with me? Can you restore my trust, my belief that my husband loved me? Gloria, I do love you. No. I stood and started clearing the plates. You love convenience. You love that I iron your shirts and cook your breakfast. You love the stability I give you. But me, Gloria the woman, you stopped loving a long time ago." "That's not true. When was the last time you asked how I'm doing? Not what's for dinner, but how I am." Silence. "When was the last time we talked about anything other than your job, your problems, your plans?" More silence. "When was the last time you looked at me the way you look at Sophie?" "Gloria?" "Answer honestly. Just once." He bowed his head. "I don't remember." "Exactly. You stopped seeing me as a woman. I became furniture. Comfortable, familiar, but invisible. I'll change. We can start over." "David," I sat across from him, "some things can't be fixed. Trust is like crystal. Once it's shattered, even if you glue it back together, the cracks will always show." "So this is it?" I looked at the man I'd spent over half my adult life with. Familiar features, familiar gestures, but his eyes were those of a stranger. "Yes, David, this is the end." The divorce was quiet. David didn't fight. Maybe he knew he had no chance, or maybe he was just tired of lying. We sold the house and split the money. He moved in with his brother. I rented a small apartment downtown. For the first time in 23 years, I was living alone. And you know what? It wasn't scary. It was liberating. I signed up for photography classes, something I'd always wanted to do, but David had called a waste of money. I started going to the theater. He'd always hated plays. I dyed my hair chestnut. He'd preferred blondes. Every morning, waking up in my little bedroom, I smiled. No one to cook breakfast for, no shirts to iron, no waiting for someone to deign to come home. A month after the divorce, I ran into Sophie at a coffee shop. She looked better. There was life in her eyes again. "How are you?" I asked. "Good. I've got a new exhibition coming up. You?" "Good too. Learning photography. Maybe you could shoot my work sometime." "I'd love to." We smiled at each other. Two women who could have been enemies but became, not friends, but allies in reclaiming our dignity. "By the way," Sophie said, "David called me last week." "Oh?" "Wanted to meet up, said he's free now." "What did you say?" "That some trains leave for good." I laughed. "Well said." "I learned it from you. It's Saturday. I'm at my favorite coffee shop editing photos from my latest shoot. Jazz plays in the corner and the waitress, Lisa, brings my cappuccino without asking. She knows my order. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. "Gloria, it's David. Can we meet? I want to talk." I read it, delete it, and don't reply. We have nothing left to say. I go back to my photos. On the screen is a portrait of a young woman with sad but hopeful eyes. She came to me after her own divorce, wanting new photos for her new life. I get it. I have a new life too. And it's beautiful. In the window, my reflection stares back, tanned from a solo trip to Italy, my first in 23 years. Rested, calm. Wrinkles around my eyes, but they're from laughter, not tears. David thought he'd ruined my life. He didn't. He set it free. I'm no longer the wife waiting for her husband to come home. I'm Gloria, photographer, traveler, a woman who's learned to love herself. My phone buzzes again. This time it's my friend Marta. "Glor, you up for the theater tonight? I've got 2 tickets. "Count me in," I say, closing my laptop. "Great. Picking you up at 7, I smile, pack my things. The sun is setting, painting the city gold. Somewhere out there, David's in a rented apartment, maybe regretting what he lost. Somewhere, Sophie's painting new works, free from illusions. And me. I'm heading home to pick a dress for the theater. I have time, I have choices, I have a life that's mine alone. As I leave the coffee shop, I glance back. On the table where I sat, someone left a gold necklace, eerily like the one I found in David's car. I smile and keep walking. Other people's chains aren't my concern anymore. I have my life, and it's finally, truly begun.